All right, today we're going to dig into a text that pulls no punches. It offers a pretty intense critique of our global systems, arguing that the whole blueprint our world is built on is fundamentally broken. But it doesn't stop there. It also lays out a radical new path forward. So, right off the bat, the text hits us with this powerful idea. It basically says, hey, we're all stuck watching a rerun. And it's a warning, right? If we don't fundamentally change the script, we're heading for a finale we've already seen, and it's not a happy one.
So what is this script that we're stuck in? Well, the source argues it's a really simple, unspoken rule that drives pretty much everything. Our institutions are constantly weighing two things. On one side, you have power, profit, and control. And on the other, you have the well-being of people and the planet. The core argument here is that our systems are designed to always tip the scales in favor of the former.
Okay, so where exactly is this pattern showing up? This brings us to the heart of the critique. The idea isn't that we have a few isolated problems. No, it's about a consistent, recognizable pattern, one that's woven into the very architecture of our global order.
This is where the source really lays out the evidence. It takes these huge global institutions and highlights this massive gap between what they say they do and what they actually do. So you've got the WEF, talking all about stakeholder capitalism. But the text asks, are their actions really prioritizing people and the planet, or is it more about economic and technocratic control? Then there's the WHO. The source claims it's become a system that thrives on sickness, not on health, by focusing on profitably managing symptoms instead of tackling the real root causes in our environments and our lifestyles. Even NATO is put under the microscope, suggesting it's transformed from a shield into a sword, acting more as a tool for projecting power than for actual defense. The point is, all these institutions supposedly built to serve us have become these massive, distant bureaucracies.
And this is a super important distinction the author makes. They're very clear. This isn't about some secret conspiracy. It's about pattern recognition. It's about stepping back, looking at all these different pieces and asking, hey, is the same underlying logic at play here?
And here is where it gets really serious. The source argues that this old 20th century blueprint, this logic of profit and control, is now being copy-pasted onto the most powerful technology humanity has ever created. We're installing the same old operating system onto a brand new, world-changing machine, artificial intelligence.
And that brings us right to the new frontier. The entire analysis pivots here. We're moving from the systems of the past to the single most important technology of the future. The text frames this moment with AI as a critical crossroads, a choice that could quite literally define everything that comes next. So the text lays out these two just incredibly different futures for AI. On one side, we have the old pattern. AI becomes just another tool for economic dominance, for surveillance, for elite control. The text even calls it a digital prison guard. But then, on the other side, there's this totally different vision. A new chapter where AI isn't aligned with our weaknesses, but with our wisdom. Words used to make life more abundant and meaningful, the ultimate liberation of the human spirit. Okay, so after all that pretty intense critique, you might be thinking, well, what's the solution? The source doesn't just leave us hanging. It argues we have to stop trying to just patch up the old systems. Instead, we need to build an entirely new foundation, something it calls a framework for life. This new framework is built on three huge ideas, three massive shifts in how we do things. First, we need a completely new North Star to guide us. Second, we need to demand radical accountability. And third, we need to totally rethink our relationship with technology. So let's really break this down. First, the new North Star. It means that instead of GDP or profit margins, the only thing that matters, the only measure of success, is human and planetary well-being. Period. Second, radical accountability. That means no more backroom deals, no more black box algorithms. Power has to be completely transparent and truly answerable to the people it serves. And finally, AI. It has to be fundamentally realigned, away from maximizing profit or control and toward helping us seek truth and cultivate wisdom.
And all of this builds to the final point the text makes, and it's a big one. The choice we're facing right now isn't just about a new policy or a minor adjustment. It's much, much bigger than that. It's a fundamental civilizational decision about what our society is even for. And this is a really key takeaway. The source goes out of its way to say this isn't about left versus right or any of the usual political boxes we put things in. The question is way more fundamental. It's who or what do our systems actually serve? Do they serve centralized power or do they serve life itself?
Which leads to this powerful call to action. The idea here is that we can't just sit around and wait for the old systems to magically fix themselves. As it says right here, the future is not waiting for permission. It suggests that real change has to come from the ground up, from people choosing to build something different right here, right now.
And so we're left with this one final massive question. The source argues that with technologies like AI, we now wield godlike power, and the ultimate choice is ours. Are we going to use that power to just repeat the same old story of control and domination? Or are we finally going to write a new one?